Welcome to the 16th season of the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel includes Neil Riddell of the Altoona Mirror, Mark Brennan of FightOnState.com, Sports Director Casey Kantz of WTAJ Sports, and a special guest analyst each week. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona, ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
Alrighty, welcome inside another edition of the NitWits, the panel all here again, including former Nittany Lion Keith Conlon. Welcome back, Goon.
What's going on, fellas?
How you doing?
Very well.
Alrighty, Penn State continues to make it interesting for the second straight time at Beaver Stadium. Penn State wins in dramatic overtime fashion, 24-17 the final over Illinois on Saturday. Guys, Bill O'Brien saying afterwards, there's no such thing as an ugly win. However, the Penn State defense still had its struggles, and after those first two scoring drives, the offense had its troubles too. But a win is a win. But how would you classify that win on Saturday?
Okay, it wasn't.
Don't use the word ugly.
It was not pretty.
It was not
but,
pretty.
they have persevered in overtime impressively now. He's 3-0 in overtime. Anytime you win in overtime, it's a pretty good win. Obviously they have a lot to build on, but the fact that they did win, I think it's should be a little bit better environment going forward here in November.
Neil said not a glamour. How about not glamorous?
No, listen, I think, we can mince words all we want. It was an ugly game.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
A win under their circumstances. He's absolutely right. Any win is a great win or a good win for this program at this point. I mean, I was crunching the numbers coming down. They played 44 guys in that game, and 12 of them were guys who came in as walk-ons. So that, I think you have to paint that as the backdrop, just realistically speaking. But it was an ugly game overall. Both teams didn't play particularly well. The refs were horrendous at times. And at the end of the day, Penn State comes out with a win. And that's the sign of, not a great team, but when you're able to get it done in the clutch, that's important. Ohio State's had some crappy games this year that they've won late. Now, I'm not comparing Penn State to Ohio State, but part of developing a good program is winning tight games, and they've done that.
Yeah, Goon, you look at the beginning, Penn State scores in their first two drives. They had to pick on Illinois' first drive, and you look at the end, not much going on in between. Kind of a, not the prettiest of wins, but a win is a win.
Exactly. I mean, you take it. You got to take it. You got to take a win like that. What did O'Brien say when he first got here? He says we're going to be tough kids. We're not going to get. They're going to be fighters.
Yes,
they're going to be tough kids. So,
Easy.
I mean, think about it. 3-0 in overtime games.
Yes.
These kids are persevering. I mean, what else can they go through? These kids, And it's just,
Keith, as a former player, when you jump up 14-0, do you come a little complacent?
They definitely relaxed a little bit. You could see that out there. And then, after going through the bad loss out of Ohio State the week before, they get up 2 touchdowns and they put it on cruise control, and you can't do that. You got to keep the foot on the gas pedal. Go with it.
Yeah, the resilience of these kids is just fantastic. Continues to be. Christian Hackenberg, what a throw to Kyle Carter there in overtime. When you look at that throw, there wasn't really much room to go anywhere but between the 8 and the 7 on Carter's jersey for that pass.
I'll tell you, the moments don't seem to be too big for him. I mean, you're seeing for sure some growing pains at times, but boy, this kid I think is special, and particularly the way he manages late game situations. I mean, Robinson caught that ball that they reviewed in the same place he caught the Michigan pass, and just a lot of poise.
Yeah, you talk about the officials. They should just review every one of Allen Robinson's catches.
Yeah, you see it right there. Foot's in bounds.
But I mean, the thing about
job,
Hackenberg is, you make a great point, Neil. Is that when this guy struggled, it's typically been early in games, and to have that ability to function at the end of games and in overtime, boy, that really says something about where this guy's going as a quarterback.
Some run a bit on Saturday too, and I mean that touchdown that he ran.
That's a big boy running there.
Was that how that play was drawn up? I'm not sure you want to see, especially with the shoulder, whatever is going on with that. I'm not sure you want to see him getting crunched between two guys like that. Gutsy effort though, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, but they also, symbolic of their problems, they took a delay penalty right in front of that. So they're 2nd and goal at the 4, so that kind of changes it. But he has not shied away. He's been pretty good on the quarterback sneak, although one didn't work yesterday.
I'll tell you the other thing that he's really savvy is that after every one of these games when they win and there's a celebration, they're singing the alma mater, he's stationed right between two offensive linemen. He knows. Goon, who's taking care of him. And he's buddying up with these O-linemen, and that's a smart thing for a quarterback to do. Kerry Collins probably did it with you guys.
Exactly right. The center quarterback is always a weird little dynamic. I don't know what it is, but they're always the best of friends off the field. But I want to talk about Allen Robinson. I saw today.
For sure,
he's 42 yards away from breaking the single-season record from Bobby Ingram's in 1995. That's unbelievable what he's doing.
He is in really hallowed ground now when you talk about the greatest of the great receivers.
I played with OJ for 2 years, and then Bobby was in my class, so I had 5 years with Bobby. And OJ was the best football player I've ever played with. Bobby was just unbelievable as a player, though. Unbelievable.
Goon, how about we were talking to Allen after the game on Saturday, and we brought up the 50-50 balls that he seems to go up and get. Now he did. The question we kind of posed it as: are they even 50-50 balls anymore? Because you're winning those one-on-one battles, and I think that's what's been most impressive about it. Obviously, he's got the speed and he can break away real quick, but he's winning those big battles.
Yeah, I mean, the catch against Michigan is going to go down is one of the best in Penn State history. But what he's doing out there is just unbelievable. I mean, Belton ran the ball great yesterday. I mean, the offensive line and the tight ends blocked great. But, I mean, Allen Robinson's just in a different atmosphere right now as a player.
And everybody knows it's coming.
I know.
I mean, that's the amazing part. They haven't quite gotten the production from the tight ends that they did last year, in part because of injuries, obviously. But they have some complementary receivers, but nobody who's quite in his league. And it's hard to believe that opponents can't figure out some way to corral this guy. They haven't. I mean, he's just done an absolutely great job with it.
The number of pass interference penalties he's drawn, and then the first half yesterday, a lot of the third down little dumps to him. They're getting the ball into the hands of the best player.
All right, guys, we got to take a break. We'll talk about the defense coming up in a little bit. We'll also talk about, Goon mentioned Billy Belton. He's been consistent indeed. We'll talk a little bit about his effort on Saturday coming up next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental.
I'm Ryan Kaiser from your Penn State Nittany Lions, watching the NitWits.
Boy, Chris Owens, our director, man, he's got the timely Ryan Kaiser welcoming us back.
Karma.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll talk about Ryan Kaiser because kind of a mixed bag again for the defense. I think we would agree on Saturday against Illinois. But when they needed the stops and, of course, when they needed the big play, they got it, none bigger than the Adrian Amos tip to Ryan Kaiser that sealed the deal in overtime on Saturday, Neil.
Well, I mean, obviously they played better than they did a week ago.
Oh, for sure.
But the thing that kind of bothered me is Illinois had 4 drives of 12 plays or more and another one of 10. They're just not getting the rush. Shieldhouse drops back 52 times, and he was only sacked once, not forcing fumbles. But
that was late.
There was some improvement.
Can I play devil's advocate, though? I mean, what was your score prediction for the game? I mean,
31-17.
Right. What was your score prediction?
I think it was 40-23.
Yeah, so the point is I picked it 35-24, and they gave up 17 points in that game. If you go into that game thinking they're going to give up 17 points as a Penn State fan, you're going to take that. So I think ultimately, yes, they did give up some long drives, but they came through with some very key turnovers. And off of how that defense played against Ohio State, I think you have to give them a lot of credit.
Illinois hurt themselves at times too, Keith, but I think it's the timely plays, the defense that are really going to stand out.
Neil's looking to say something here. I don't know what he's getting at.
Let's let the good
I mean, I don't know how Timmy Beckman's going to keep his job after this season, but going for it on 4th and 1 in the third quarter, or maybe it was in the fourth quarter, not kicking a field goal down 4 points, and you had the rest of the game. And I don't understand what he was thinking by doing that. And the defense made plays when they had to make plays yesterday. I mean, like Mark said, there's not a lot of bodies out there, not a lot of kids playing, but they're getting it done. They got it done this week, and every week's gonna be different. But
their clock management at the end of both halves was really. And then
the referees giving them the gift on that
person. I thought the referees were as bad as for both teams.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems it was touch football.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit, too. We want to get back to the Billy Belton thing. You mentioned Bill Belton, the first block goon. While Penn State's fluctuated wins pretty much since the second week of the season, which could be, I guess, defined as inconsistent, Belton's really had some consistency. We saw it last week, a tough loss all around, but, I mean, Billy was still very consistent last week. And another career high, over 200 yards on Saturday in the touchdown, other than the fumble, which could have, of course, been big, but it wasn't. So what are you seeing right now from Billy, guys? I mean, he's really got the vision, it seems. His pass blocking's been fantastic as well.
Yeah, I think you're seeing a lot of improvement. And a guy who's getting better with more carries. I mean, 36.
Yeah.
Really, maybe that was a little bit of a fatigue fumble at the very end. But he's getting better. I don't know that he's a breakaway back, but he's certainly getting better. And 36 times, and he held on the ball all until the very end.
And I think the fumble to me, I thought he was kind of reaching out. I mean, that has to drive coaches absolutely nuts. Hackenberg almost lost one doing that. But it's got to be difficult because that has to be kind of an instinct. The thing I like about Bill Belton, and I've mentioned this earlier this year, this is a guy who everybody basically forgot about and thought was done after he struggled last year. He had an injury, had some academic problems in the offseason, and this kid's bounced back and done a great job. Listen, is he the second coming of Kajana? Maybe not, but I think he can be a Mike Archie type. Going back to Goons days, does a lot of things well, and I just love to see guys who kind of have difficult times and then bounce back and perform well.
You're starting to see with Hackenberg being able to pick people apart with Robinson, that they can't sit 8 in the box anymore. So it's level playing field again for the offensive line and tight ends blocking. They're not having to block an extra safety or an extra linebacker now. And you watch all those highlights with Belton on there. Every one of them, there's a hat on a hat out there, and he's making great cuts. And the O-line and tight end, they were the player of the game yesterday.
Hey, 48 carries, and they averaged 5.2. You'll take that.
Yep.
All right, while you'll take that, you'll take the win as well, as Penn State now improves to 5-3 on the year. The stat sheet would show some things that Coach O'Brien and company might not be so happy with. We talked about some of the penalties. We'll talk about those in a little bit, as well as some miscues with Penn State on Saturday. Stay with us. You're watching the NitWits.
The NitWits are brought to you by the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal.
Hey, I'm Penn State wide receiver Derek Moore, and you're watching the NitWits.
The current Pittsburgh Steeler, Derek Moy. Welcome back to the NitWits. Penn State picks up their 5th win of the year, 24-17 overtime win over at Illinois Saturday at Beaver Stadium. Guys, we touched on the officiating crew. They were certainly busy. They put their whistles to use, no doubt, on Saturday. 11 total penalties for Penn State, 9 for Illinois.
Yeah.
But some of the Penn State ones, let's talk about those a little
Well,
bit.
I think the game was being officiated differently than they've seen it all year. They were the third least penalized team in the country,
Right.
least penalized team in the Big Ten. They had 11. That's doubled their output for doubled their high. 20 penalties in the game, and Howe got called twice for an illegal snap. So obviously he didn't change what he was doing for this game.
Yeah, you hate it when the officials become have such an impact on a game, and it was both sides, because as you mentioned, Illinois had 9 penalties as well, and some of those were a little bit dicey, and it's just you have a good game, guys are out there just playing their hearts out, and to have the officials just play that big of a part is terrible.
And you're seeing right there too. The penalties obviously uncharacteristic of Penn State this year, but the clock management as well. It is what it is. It could have had a more of an impact though on Saturday.
Well, I mean, like I said, I watched half and half. I watched the game outside the parking lot, and you see a lot of the what they replays and stuff, and some of the calls were just, they were just judgment calls. You don't make, in my opinion, you don't make those calls. I mean, like Mark said, the referees, when they start becoming part of the game, instead of officiating the game, they're controlling the game. That's not good football then. It's not fun to watch.
Yeah, the clock management, though, that was on Penn State. I mean, that was, you have to wonder what, and, obviously part of it is that you have a freshman quarterback out there, and, he at times didn't seem like he had a great feel, and you would imagine that he would learn from that. But that was the worst their clock management has been overall. And Neil, you're always paying attention to this. We're up in the press box. It's like, what's going on here? But that's the worst that I've seen from them since this staff has been here.
I think sometimes when there's a penalty, they start the play clock quicker than Penn State anticipates it.
That's a good point.
All righty, Penn State still seeking a first Big Ten road win in 2013. They'll try to get it against a much improved Minnesota team next week. Our picks are next, and our Nitwit of the Week is unveiled. Wink, wink. Coming up next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
I'm Glenn Carson from your Nittany Lions, and you're watching the NitWits.
Thank you, Glenn. Welcome back, guys. Penn State now hits the road. They'll take on 7-2 Minnesota Saturday in Minneapolis. We'll talk about that game a little bit, but let's unveil our Nitwit of the Week first. Neil, you want to do the honors, as always?
Well, Mr. Brennan, I think this is the longest you've had to wait. It's November. It's about time.
Oh, man.
That it's just more fun when he's in it.
We were
I
joking.
won one, didn't I? Didn't I win one?
The chair.
Oh, yeah. Plus, you picked 30-3 against Michigan a few years ago. And,
Called it.
There's the standings
I think
right
one of those
there. You
guest
see.
balls is mine.
You are still in this, and we were joking before we came back. We wanted to give you your own one shot so you can reflect on what went into your pick this week.
Nah, we don't have to do that. We could look ahead. You know what? I don't look back. I like to look ahead.
That's very, very good words there. Let's talk about Minnesota then coming up. I said much improved. They won again on Saturday over Indiana. They head off Indiana. A much improved team. Obviously, their coach, Jerry Kill, that's kind of been the story, and they've kind of rallied around that this year. But what are you looking for from Penn State this week?
Yeah, that is a unique situation with their coach has had so many seizures and been in and out of the lineup and up in the press box. And we've obviously seen that in the past before, even at Penn State.
Isn't that
it's a nice story that they've rallied around?
It is, and you hope for the sake of everything that this guy ends up being okay in the long run. But it does put a different perspective for us, having watched Joe struggle and have to coach from the press box about I think back to that and what was he thinking at the time, and shouldn't he have been more worried about his own health and that sort of thing. And it's kind of strange when you're kind of removed from it and can see somebody else going through it. And you really do this from everything we've heard. This guy is just a super nice guy and a great coach, and you just hope everything works out for him.
Is this our first time in their new stadium?
No. Second. The 2010 season, I believe it was. McGloin actually came in and took over for Bolden and did a really nice job.
Keith, what are you seeing? What's Penn State have to do this week? What are you seeing?
They really got to play. I mean, they got to play a really good game. And I've watched Minnesota last week, before the Ohio State game, and they're playing really well. Like Neil said about the whole rallying around the coach. I mean, they're 7-2.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just they're an impressive team who can score some points. So, we got to see what Penn State can do on the road.
All right, they finally have their new facility, which is good. I mean, how many years
nice,
was
too.
it such a nightmare? The Twins were there. They had to dismantle the field in order to even get a college game in.
Got a minute left. Let's get our picks, Mark.
Yeah, you know what? I'm having trouble picking Penn State, but I'm going to, and here's why. I'm going to go 27-24 Penn State. I just don't think Minnesota usually throws the ball. They did well against Indiana, but a lot of people do. I don't think a run-oriented team is going to be able to beat Penn State.
Keith?
Game really does scare me. I mean, I'm never going to pick against Penn State, obviously. That's not what I do. But it's going to be a very, very close game. I'm saying 24-21 Penn State.
30 seconds.
I'm going to go Minnesota 30, Penn State 24.
30-24. I've got Penn State 31, Minnesota 27. Thanks for watching, as always, guys. We'll see you after the Minnesota game next week.
The NitWits have been brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona, ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the NitWits on AltoonaMirror.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.